Hello everyone and welcome back to my minimalist cooking videos. Today I have one of my favorite takeout dishes, honey garlic chicken. The best part is it's so quick and easy to make at home, you'll never have to order out again. Let's get started. We're going to begin this sauce by placing 2 tablespoons of any neutral flavored oil into a saucepan. We're going to use this to saute up our garlic and ginger. The first thing we need to do is get the skin off of our ginger. You can do this one of 2 ways. You can use a spoon to scrape a large piece to get the skin off, or as I'm doing here, by cutting around the edge very carefully. Cut the ginger into long matchstick pieces, turn 90 degrees, and dice very fine before continuing on with the garlic. And this is a very similar process. Take 2 to 3 garlic cloves and begin by getting the skins off. The easiest way to do this is to place your knife flat on the garlic and smack the back of your palm firmly. Make sure that your fingertips are curled away so you don't cut yourself. The skin will fall away quickly. And just like the ginger, begin by chopping the garlic into matchstick pieces, turning 90 degrees and dicing very fine, and then place it into your pot. Next up, we're actually going to step away from making the sauce for just a moment so we can prepare our chicken. I want to get it cut up and into the bowl, that way we can get it marinating while we finish off our sauce. Since I only have one cutting board and I didn't want to wash it in between, I made sure to cut the garlic and ginger first and then cut the chicken. This saves a little bit on dishes and prep time. I'm going to begin by removing the skin as well as trim away any larger pieces of fat. Since this dish is cooked on a high heat for a short period of time, any large pieces of fat will not have a chance to render out as we cook it. A little bit of fat here and there is fine, but you don't want any large pieces. I find it easiest to cut the piece of chicken straight down the middle into 2 long tenders, and then cutting each of these tenders into bite-sized pieces. Here I have about a 1-inch by a 1/2-inch cube. However, you can go slightly bigger or slightly smaller. The size isn't super critical, but what is that you pick a size and stick to it. You want all your pieces to be as uniform as possible so they all cook and finish at the same time. I prefer to make this dish with chicken breast, as shown here. However, chicken thigh is quite traditional and very tasty as well. If you'd like, you could substitute pork or even tofu in this dish, and it works really well. Whichever protein choice you've made, once it's cut up into bite-sized pieces, we're going to move on to marinating it. This is a basic marinade that's going to start with 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. The soy sauce is going to be the salt component, and then 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. This will give your protein a nice, deep, rich, nutty flavor. However, it's very strong, so make sure not to add too much. And that'll finish off the marinade. All you need to do now is make sure to massage it really well into the chicken and make sure that every piece gets coated very well before placing it aside so that it can absorb in. Next, we'll move on with the rest of our sauce. With your pan on medium to medium-high heat, you want to saute the garlic and ginger slightly. Once you can smell the wonderful aroma as shown here, you know that it's ready to move on. Next ingredient you're going to add is 1/2 cup of chicken stock. I didn't actually have chicken stock on hand, so I made my own. I added 1/2 cup of plain water and 1/2 of a chicken bouillon cube. This substituted in really well for chicken stock. I always have chicken bouillon on hand and actually thought that the flavor was a little bit more robust using this method. And no sauce would be complete without its sweet component, sugar. We're going to add 1/4 cup. Here I'm using Demerara sugar. However, you can use white or brown sugar in its place. 4 nice big tablespoons would equal 1/4 cup if you don't have a measuring cup on hand. And to balance out all this sweetness, we want to add a little bit of acidity with 2 tablespoons of vinegar. This gives a nice balance to the sauce. And for the honey part of the honey garlic chicken, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of good quality honey to the saucepan. Hey, I said this was delicious. I never said it was low calorie. However, this sweet sauce really lends itself to being a family favorite. Kids especially love it. And finally, to balance out this sweetness, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, which will add the salty component to the sauce and make everything balanced out. While our sauce is coming up to temperature, it is a great time to put our oil on so that it can come up to temperature and be ready to fry as soon as our sauce is finished. Any high temperature oil will work. In a cup or small bowl, add 3 tablespoons of cool water. To this, add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch or corn flour. We are going to use this as a slurry to thicken our sauce as soon as it comes up to temperature. Mix it very well to make sure there are no lumps. Once your sauce has come up to a light simmer with bubbles breaking the surface, it is ready to thicken. Mix your slurry mixture again really well to make sure there are no lumps and add 1 to 2 spoonfuls to start. Mix it in immediately as to not clump. The sauce has to return to a simmer in order for the slurry to thicken. You need to wait for it to return to a light simmer before you add more thickener. However, add little by little as you go along until you reach a thickness that you desire. Remember, it is a lot easier at this point to add a little bit more thickener and continue that way than it is to over thicken your sauce and try to thin it out. It is much, much more difficult, so just take your time right now and get the consistency that you're looking for. What I'm doing here is allowing the sauce to completely come to a simmer once again before adding any more thickener. It's still loose to me, so I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more spoonfuls of the slurry mixture to thicken it up a little bit more to my liking. The ultimate product that you're looking for is about the thickness of a warm maple syrup. However, if you like it thinner or thicker, please suit it to your tastes. And this is exactly what you're shooting for in a final product. A nice, thick, yet still flowable syrup that will coat your chicken nicely. Set that aside and move on. I'm going to go ahead and use a pre-packaged mix for my tempura batter. However, if you do not have this where you live, don't worry. I have included a complete recipe down below of a few simple ingredients that you'll need in order to make this at home from scratch. It's quick and simple. And to the dry mixture, we're going to add chilled soda water. It's very important that the water is chilled because it works a lot better in the batter. The soda portion of the water actually creates a much lighter, airier, and crispier crust in the final product. Make sure to mix it in extremely well and then put the chicken into the batter. Your marinated chicken just needs to go in and be completely covered and coated on all sides so that it can fry evenly. I don't have a thermometer, so I'm going to place a few drops of the wet tempura batter directly into the oil. If it comes to the surface and immediately begins to bubble, you know that the temperature is good to fry. You're shooting for about 350 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I am only going to fry half the chicken pieces for the first round of cooking. It's very important not to place all of the chicken into the oil at once because it will drop the temperature of the oil too far and create a very soggy, very oily chicken. By doing it in batches, you can make sure that you don't overcrowd your pan and allow everything to cook evenly and to a nice crispy consistency. Once your chicken is placed into the pan, you want to cook for 2 to 3 minutes on the first side. After 2 to 3 minutes of cooking, you want to make sure to flip each piece over so that it can cook for an additional 2 to 3 minutes on the second side. This ensures even cooking and a consistent, crispy product. After 4 to 6 minutes of total cooking time, which will depend on the size of your chicken pieces, we want to stir everything up and make sure that it is a consistent color all the way around. And use a slotted spoon to drain away the extra oil and place it onto a fresh paper towel so that the rest of the oil can drain. At this point, the chicken may not be quite as dark or crispy as you're expecting, as you can see here. However, don't worry about that right now. I'll address that here in just a few minutes. But right now, we need to go ahead and fry off our second batch of chicken exactly as we did the first. Place the remaining half of the chicken pieces into the oil and cook exactly as you did the first round. 2 to 3 minutes on side A, flip, and then cook for an additional 2 to 3 minutes. And after a total of 4 to 6 minutes of cooking time, remove the chicken, draining it as well as you can, and then placing it onto paper towels to soak up the rest of the oil. Once all your chicken is done cooking, let it sit at room temperature for 3 to 5 minutes, and then place it back into the frying oil. That's right, everybody back into the oil for another swim. We are going to double fry this chicken for a very good reason. We want to create an extremely crispy, crunchy exterior, however, not overcook the chicken on the inside. If you tried to fry the chicken until it was this crispy in one cooking session, the chicken on the inside would be so overdone it would be rubbery and chewy. In order to avoid that, we're going to go ahead and do 2 frying sessions. We don't have to worry about placing all the chicken at once back into the pot because it's so hot from being cooked already that it will not drop the temperature of the oil. So go ahead and place everything back in and cook for an additional minute to minute and a half tops. Pull it back out and notice how crispy this chicken has become. By doing the double fry and making this extra crispy chicken, it will hold up really well in that beautiful sauce that you made and not get soggy after serving. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please give it a like, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you're notified every time we release a new video. If you like this recipe, don't forget to check out my minimalist cooking videos on how to make orange chicken and sweet and sour chicken. Links are in the description below. They are delicious. I guarantee you'll love them. When serving this up to your family or friends, there are 2 real typical ways that you will see it. The first is the way my wife likes it, which is having the sauce on the side and placing the chicken on the plate so she can dip it herself. This will keep the chicken extremely crispy for a little bit longer period of time than if you toss it in the sauce itself. The other way that you will see it served is by tossing the chicken directly in the sauce. This is, after all, why you did the double fry, to make sure that that chicken would stay extremely crispy and crunchy even after taking a nice bath in that delicious sauce. Pour some of the sauce directly over the chicken and stir to coat evenly. You want to make sure that each piece gets a nice coating of that delicious honey garlic sauce. And that's it, guys. It is that simple. You should be able to make this in about the same time as it takes to call for takeout. Thank you so much for watching.